Hello, Coffee Chat friends. The first thing I want to do is I want to give a good shout out here for Stefan Molyneux for keeping up the conscious effort to put forward a message, a very powerful message, which I believe will change the way humanity looks at one another. We human beings look at one another. I specifically wanted to address your work with something called UPB, Universally Preferential Behavior. And I watched a video of yours very recently, probably the one I attached this link to actually, which you compared that to rights. And that really hit home with me because I hadn't thought that much before about the reality that we really don't have any rights. That rights are something that are, I mean, they're sort of self-contradictory in other words, in another way of saying it, because if we have the right to something, then therefore it can never be taken away. And if we think about even the so-called right to life, I mean, if we had a right to life, then somebody wouldn't be able to shoot us. If they shot at us, the bullet would bounce off. But that's not true, is it? We can be shot, or we can be, go off the road with our car and get killed, or whatever it is. So we don't really, it doesn't seem like we have that right, really. And preference, on the other hand, I see it going straight to our responsibility. So that's important too, I think, is when we prefer something, it's not like we've been granted that. It's just like a choice, right? What do we prefer? So that's what I see as the contrast, is that the preference is that which we choose, and maybe there are places where our preferences can be controlled, but in terms of our deepest inner thoughts and whatnot, nobody can control what we prefer, because we just prefer something. It doesn't mean we actually have anything tangible because of that. We just prefer it. So we either prefer certain behaviors or we don't. That's different than a right. The concept of a right. The concept of a right is, I or a bunch of people said that I have control over this, or this is mine only. And somehow there's some magic surrounding that I'm bulletproof, or that can't be destroyed, that concept. But that's nonsense. It can be just wiped away. It can be, thunderstorm can come and, hit your house with lightning and it's gone. You had the right to that house, now you don't have it. So, but you still have the preference, though. The preference cannot be taken away. You can still prefer that it not be struck by lightning. That doesn't mean that it will. So it's preferential. And I like the way you describe the universality, too, which is that what is preferable for me is preferable for somebody else. For example, life. I'd prefer that I stay alive today. And anybody who's sane would also prefer that. We don't have a right to it. It's the same with, I would prefer that I keep the efforts of my labor, or the results of my labor, rather. It doesn't mean I have a right to it. If I had a right to it, then nobody could steal it, but somebody can steal it. But that doesn't mean that does not remove the preference that I remain with it. It's so great. And the universality, of course, is that everybody wants these basic. Anybody who's sane, anyways, who's rational, wants to stay alive, doesn't want to be raped, for example, doesn't want to be stolen from. And if we realize that that's what we want, and universally everybody wants it, then we won't do it. Isn't that wonderful? And of course, behavior, I love that too, because it doesn't matter how much we think about something, or how much we wish, or we even plan about it, until we actually put our thoughts and planning and what have you into action, into behaviors, then it doesn't really matter. So if I would prefer the behavior of throwing snowballs at everybody, then I would soon find out that it's not a universal behavior, because not everybody's throwing snowballs at me. But nevertheless, the behavior is what's critical here, because I could think about throwing a snowball at somebody, but who cares? Nobody gets hit by a snowball. Anyways, I just wanted to make some comments and say, once again, thanks for your work that you're doing. Stefan, you're doing a wonderful job, and it shows, I think. I hope anyways, because you get lots of views. And I must say too, I also contribute to your show what I can so far. So keep up the good work, and I really enjoy so much of what you have to talk about. I appreciate it, and I'll chime in once in a while like this. All the best for now, and talk to all you coffee chatters another time soon as well. Bye-bye for now.